Yahuwah. Okay. 9/11. Very important for us to understand. I will turn the captivity by doing Yahuwah's will. Yisrael's labor will not be in vain. Not only will they conquer their victors, but they will also enjoy the fruits of their toil. I will plant them like a tree that is firmly planted and not to be moved from its place, saith Yahuwah. The prophecy has the divine assurance. This is an assurance. No matter what we face and no matter what we're going through, we have an assurance. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
We have an assurance that no matter what we encounter, this is what our destination is going to be. And I don't know about you, but that's what helps me to stay motivated. It helps me to stay motivated because we deal with a lot of crazies. We deal with a lot of stuff. We do. We deal with a lot of stuff. We deal with our people. And sometimes, once again, mixed emotions and mixed feelings get in the way. And sometimes it don't always end in the manner that you want, or it doesn't always go in the path that you really expected to go. But still, that is no reason for us to get out and still do a disservice unto Yahuwah, because relationships don't always gel. Chemistry sometimes just don't work. I'm not saying we're not supposed to deal with people. Are you following me? I will never say that. We're always supposed to deal with one another. And sometimes chemistries just don't work. But then there are times where they do. You're going to have those disagreements. And I'm not saying disagreements are wrong. But the thing of it is learning how to disagree agreeably and be able to move forward. Are you following me?
Yes.
And at the same time, understand one of the number one things that we constantly are combative about is the time when we're supposed to celebrate Sabbath, the feast, women in leadership, where our true home is, etc., etc. And instead of us coming together, we always divide. We're always divided because we get emotional and we get heated and we get angry. And now we're ready to fight. We are. Because we're like, man, no, man. Now we start hurling names and we start talking bad about one another. Now it's no longer a discussion. It turns into a debate. Now it's no longer a debate. It becomes a brawl. And sometimes that verbal brawl can make a trench and cause a devastation in the unity that sometimes it takes a hard time to bridge that gap. So we need to maintain and use wisdom. Are you following me?
Yes.
And once again, you got to remember, this is the enemy's ploy to knock us out of the race and to get us to where we get so sidetracked that we lose track of time and we lose where we are. And now he's ready to destroy us because we outside of truth. Are you following me?
Yes.
Very important. You know how you be talking to people, especially when we used to catch the bus. Thank you, Yahuwah, that we ain't got to catch the bus, because I promise you, I don't knock nobody. If you have to catch the bus, you do what you do. But I'll believe with you and pray with you that Yahuwah will get you a vehicle. Because when you're on that bus, you come across all kind of crazies. And we get on that bus and people want to talk. Then ain't no seats. Then you try to get on the bus and people trying to talk. And you be like, I got to get down here because if I don't get here, and you know the bus be 20 minutes early and they'll still leave you. And you running with groceries and they'll keep on going. Then now they have a law that they can't pick you up unless you're in front of the bus station. There was a time that if they saw you and you were a few feet away, they would pick you up. Now they keep on running past you and not even stop. And people know those buses run crazy on the hour, on every hour they're running. And sometimes they be so late. So once again, you know, you just don't want that, and you don't want to get caught up in that because you can miss the bus. Well, we don't want to get caught up in all that stuff because we don't want to what? Miss Yahuwah. Very important. All right, let us turn our attention to our Brit Chadasha portion, Yehukin in chapter 5. And we're going to read, starting with 1, and we're going to read all the way to chapter 6, and we're going to go to verse 71. Let us do 7 verses in chapter 5, please. And it is. When you have it, saying it is so. All right, you got that? Come on. Okay. Once again, that's Yehukanan, chapter 5, verses 1. Starting at verse 1. I will put on the page something down. All right. Everybody has it?
Yes.
All right. 1542.
And it is
All right. Come on, read for me.
Yehukanan chapter 5, verse 1.
Verse 1.
Yes.
Okay. Read 7 verses.
And after this there was a Moed of the Yehudim, and Yehusha went up to Jerusalem. Now there is at Jerusalem by the sheep market a pool which is called in the Hebrew tongue Beth Chesed, having 5 porches. In these lay a great multitude of impotent folk, a blind, lame, withered, waiting for the moving of the Ma'im. For a heavenly messenger went down at a certain season into the pool and stirred the Ma'im. Whosoever then first, after the stirring of the Ma'im, stepped in, was made whole after whatever disease he had. And a certain man was there which had an infirmity 38 years. When Yehusha saw him lie, and knew that he had been now a long time in that case, he said to him, "Do ye want to be made whole?" Verse 7, the sick man answered him, Adoniah, I have no man, when the Ma'im is troubled, to put me into the pool. But while I am coming, another steps down before me. And it is so.
And it is so. Now, once again, we see a change here. We see where we're talking about, well, in other words, we're seeing the tangibility or the manifestation of the promise of our people being made whole and complete. And it does not stop there. We can be made complete and whole. Now look what it says. After this, there was a Moed, feast of the Yehudim. And Yehusha went up to Jerusalem. Now let's look at the feast that was going on of the Ibram people that were here. The mystery feast is the Feast of Tabernacles. This was the Feast of Tabernacles at this time. Now there is at Jerusalem by the sheep market a pool which is called in the Hebrew tongue Beit Kadesh or Shadesh, Bethsaida, having 5 porches. Now let's look at the means house of mercy. Some scholars conjecture this to be Beth Zetha. 5 porches, the 5 books of Moshe revealing Yahuwah's mercy and truth. All right, now let's look at this. And these lay a great multitude of impotent folk, of blind, lame, withered, waiting for the moving of the Ma'im, the water. Now you have to understand, lay a great multitude of impotent folk. To be impotent means you're unable to produce. You're unable to bring forth. Are you understanding me?
Yes.
It means you are basically sterile almost. Are you following?
Yes.
Blind, lame, withered, waiting for the moving of the Ma'im. For a heavenly messenger went down at a certain season into the pool and stirred the Ma'im. Whoever then first, after the stirring of the Ma'im, stepped in was made whole of whatever disease he or she had. And a certain man was there which had an infirmity 38 years. When Yehusha saw him lie and knew that he had been now a long time in that case, he said to him, do you want to be made whole? Now, once again, you would have to wonder, why would you have to ask that? Because you have to understand, sometimes people can get stuck in their ways.
Mm-hmm.
And they get so set that they believe that there's only way to be healed, only one way to be healed.
Mm-hmm.
And he had been there all that time now. All that time waiting for the troubling of the water. He said, every time I go to get down, you know, somebody get in front of me. So I'm thinking, well, you thought they were going to wait on you, or you, everybody there trying to get something. Now, once again, someone say, well, how do we take this and relate it or put it to our times? There are times that we look at life and we look at things and we still trying to get it the way that everybody else is getting it. And when Yahushua presents to us or asks us the question, do we want to be made whole or complete? We stagger at that question because of the position and the way we've been in for so long. Somebody say, well, what you mean? Case in point. When you know people that have had addictions for a long time, smoke cigarettes. Are you following me?
Yes.
They have a nicotine habit. So what they do, instead of, they go from smoking a cigarette to an inhaler. You're still smoking because you're still getting nicotine in your lungs. And when you say Yahuwah can heal you and he can deliver you, it's one of those things that just kind of goes over the head, because they're thinking, now I need a nicotine patch because, you know, I got to take my time, man. I got to suck on candy. I got to chew gum because I got to do something to get this craving out. He asked him, who had been there for 38 years, do you want to be made whole? And that question is still going out to us as a people. Do you want to be made whole? The sick man answered him, Master, I have no man when the Mayim is troubled to put me into the pool, but while I am coming, another steps down before me. Now, I want two things. I have nobody to help me, and then by the time I get there, somebody gets in before me. Excuses. Are you following me?
Yes.
Because if nobody's there to help you get in, but yet when you get to it, somebody get in there before you, you can get in there, it's just you're slow. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
Very important for us to understand this and see this. Yahushua said to him, rise, take up your mat and walk. Are you following me? Because he saw the mindset of this man. It's important that we hear the words of Yahuwah through Yahushua. Mm-hmm. Rise up, take up your bed and walk. In other words, wake up and walk in the truth that Yahuwah has given unto you to walk in. That's the way it's supposed to be. Now listen what he says in verse 9. Or what happens. And immediately the man was made whole and took up his mat and walked. And on the same day was the Sabbath. Now you have to understand, this caused some trouble right here. Are you following me?
Yes.
Now you have to understand, he was a Hebrew. He was part of Yehuda. Mm-hmm. And so was it more lawful for him to remain sick? Or was it more lawful for him to be made whole, to celebrate and to live and to rest on the Sabbath? Mm-hmm. Important for us to understand. Are you following me?
Yes.
All right. Let's read. Starting at verse 10. Mm-hmm.
Chapter 5, starting at verse 10. The Yehudim therefore said to him who had been healed, it is the Sabbath. It is not right for you to take up the bed. He answered them, he who made me well said to me, take up your bed and walk. Therefore they asked him, who is the man who said to you, take up your bed and walk? But the one who has healed did not know who it was, for Yahushua had moved away, a crowd being in that place. Afterward, Yahushua found him in the set-apart place and said to him, see, you have been made well. Sin no more, so that no worse matter befalls you. Mm-hmm. The man went away and told the Yehudim that it was Yahushua who made him well. And because of this, the Yehudim persecuted Yahushua and were seeking to kill him, because he was doing these healings on the Sabbath. Verse 17. But Yahushua answered them, my Father works until now, and I work.
And it is so. Now, once again, you have to understand, a lot of people will come and say, but if we're not supposed to do work on the Sabbath, why was he working? That was not servile work.
Mhm.
That was not servile work. Are you following me?
Yes.
Very important for us to understand. It's in, I believe it's in Yashayah 61, where he says, the Ruach Kodesh is upon me. Find that and let's read that. Once again, you have to understand what he came to do. He was fulfilling his responsibility and his mandate. Is in 61?
Yes.
Okay, read that for me, please. And we're going to read. This is what he was doing. So when we look or hear the term work, you have to understand we're not talking about servile work. We're talking about him coming to do what he was predestined to do, and that's be about the Abba's business. Come on, read that for me.
Yashayahu chapter 61, verse 1 through 3. Coming from the NIV. The Ruach of the sovereign power is on me, because Yahuwah has anointed me to preach the good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom to the captives and release from darkness for the prisoners, to proclaim the year of Yahuwah's favor and the day of vengeance of our power, to comfort all who mourn, and provide for those who grieve in Zion, to bestow on them a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of gladness instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. They will be called oaks of uprightness, a planting of Yahuwah for the day of his splendor. And it is so.
And it is so. He was coming to bring recovery. He was coming to bring recovery of sight to the blind, to comfort those that mourn, to bring healing. And this is exactly what he was doing. Now, once again, you have to understand the reason they got angry with him was because he was doing the work of the Abba. But they wanted to use him carrying the mat as the foundation or the root for their reason to engage him and say that he was wrong.
That's right.
Are you following me? Because he told him to take up his mat and walk. That's not servile work. That's telling him to remove the thing that you were stuck on all those years and it became a crutch to you. Now, once again, although this man was made whole, yet he went and spoke against Yahusha by telling the authorities that he had been healed, that he had healed him. Sadly, some people do not acknowledge that Yahusha is Yahuwah, even when they are healed of a sickness. That's why miracles by themselves can never be the sole justifier for coming to believe. Now, once again, also you have to look at the messenger, the one who sends it. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
Very important. Now, once again, we know that Yahusha is the voice of Yahuwah. Y'all follow me?
Yes.
He is the voice of Yahuwah. And so now they are ready and they're outright with him. But you have to understand they were already angry with him. So now they began to persecute Yahusha because he had done these things on the Sabbath day. Very important for us to understand. Does that mean we're supposed to go out and be out on the streets ministering on the Sabbath? No. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
Because remember, we still have to rest. Now, let's put it in this manner. If it arises where we are we to attend to it? Absolutely. We are absolutely supposed to tend to it. So it's very important that we understand what is being said in this right here. Now, let's look at this. In the manuscripts missing these words and sought to slay him. By adding such words, it is clear why the hatred was developed for the Ibram nation of Yisrael over the years by the anti-Semitic Abbas of Christianity and others today. Once again, let's look at what it is saying here. Let's look at the verse 16. And therefore did the Yehudim persecute Yahusha because he had done these things on the Sabbath day. Now let's look what it says. Once again, the manuscripts missing these words and sought to slay him. By adding such words, it is clear why the hatred was developed for us as a people. Because, you know, people always want to come and say, but y'all the one who killed him. Y'all the one who crucified him. Y'all the one who persecuted him. So once again, when you have misinterpretation of the writings, you're going to always come up with all sorts of things. Are you following me?
Yes.
All right. Let us read. Oh, verse 17, I'm sorry. But Yahusha answered them, my Abba has been working even until now, and I work too. Now, once again, you have to understand the work. This is not a negation of the Sabbath, but in fact, an affirmation of it. Why is the Abba working even until now? To bring people into the ultimate Sabbath rest, the millennial kingdom. Ibram 4 and 8, let's get that. Which is one aspect of the Sabbath rest that many will not enter for being disobedient in Christianity. Once again, you have to understand that work is not the kind of work when you're going on a job. That's not even considered servitude. That's considered doing that what is or what he was predestined to do, and that is to bring healing. Once again, that is not to say that on the Sabbath we are supposed to be out looking for people to heal.
That's right.
If it comes to our door and it is presented, then we have a right. In other words, we have a right to follow through with the action of bringing forth healing, speaking, laying hands. Are you following me?
Yes.
Speaking the healing, or speaking to their belief to cause it to rise. Excuse me, that they are able to walk in and receive their belief. It needs to be plugged up. Very important for us to understand. Neither is it a time for us to go and be preaching on the street.
That's right.
Once again, you have to understand Yahusha that was their custom. And then you have to understand it was during what? The Feast of Tabernacles, which was also a time of rest. But you have to understand that was not against instruction to bring forth healing.
Yes.
Very important. All right, let us read.
Abraham chapter 4.
And 8.
4 and 8. For if Yahusha had given them rest, then would he not afterward have spoken of another day.
Right. Once again, talking about Sabbath rest. Are y'all following me? We're looking for that ultimate rest. All right. Let us read. Let us go back to Yehukin chapter 5. And let us finish. All right. We stopped at verse 18.
Yes.
All right. Let's start at verse 18 and let's read 7 verses. Now this word is really about to get real. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Because you have to understand, many people, as it may sound, but you have many people that even look at counting as work. They do this, the Jewish rabbis that are over there in Jerusalem, counting, using anything, they look at that as servile work. And I have read many things that said that they will ostracize a person. They will even put a person out of Jerusalem if they are caught doing anything. You can't ride escalators. Yeah. You can't do anything, which we know on the Sabbath is best just to stay at home. Unless you're in class, stay at home.
Sure.
You know, people be out going to the beach and people be all over the place. I know. Stay at home. Are you following me? Because now you're going to be indulging in everything else. If it's a time of rest, you have to understand that means you ain't even supposed to be out there exacting your pleasures. Rest. It tells us this, to rest. I believe it's Yashayahu 56 or 58, where he talks about the fast. And even in the fast, he talks about keeping the Sabbath and putting away doing our pleasure on our own day. Doing our pleasure during the Sabbath. So if you are at the beach on the Sabbath, you're having pleasure and you're doing that. And we are supposed to take the time to commemorate and celebrate our rest, but you do it at home or in class. And it is so. All right. Let us finish reading. Chapter 18. I'm sorry, verse 18 of chapter 5. Chapter 5 of Yehukanan, verse 18, and we'll read 7 verses of Yehukanan, which is John 15:43. Okay, come on, read. 7. Starting at verse 18, chapter 5, verse 18.
Therefore, the Yahudim sought the more to kill him, because he had not only broken the Sabbath, but had also said that power was his Abba, making himself equal with power. Then answered Yahushua and said to them, Verily, verily, I say to you that the Son can do nothing of himself, but what he sees the Abba do. For what things he does, these also does the Son likewise. For the Abba loved Ahab's the Son, and showed him all the things that he does, and he will show him greater works than these, that you may marvel. For as the Abba raises up the dead and quickens them, even so the Son quickens whom he will. For the Abba judges no man, but hath committed all judgment to the Son, that all men should honor the Son, even as they honor the Abba. He that honors not hath committed all judgment to the Son, that all men should honor the Son, even as they honor the Abba. He that honors not has everlasting life, and shall not come into condemnation, but is passed from death to life. And it is so.
And it is so. Now, once again, very important. Therefore, and you have to understand something. Verse 17, my Abba working even unto now, and I will too. This is another thing that caused them to be adamant about killing him, because he called himself the son of Yahuwah. Then he made himself equal in a sense. And this is what got them riled up, because you have to remember, they did not want that name to be used, Yahuwah. They did not want his name out. And when he started talking about he was the son, and that the Abba was his, that Yahuwah was his Abba, this is what caused many of them to become really outright with him. And because irate with him. This is what caused many of them to be angry with him, because he was using the name of Yahuwah, a name that they deemed to be so kadesh and sacred that they themselves would not even use it. But you have to understand, if you don't use the name, then who you calling on? Once again, this was just another ploy of the devil or Shaitan to ensure that we would be without the name of Yahuwah. So they had a major problem with him. Therefore, the Yehudim sought the more to kill him, because he not only had broken the Sabbath, but said that power was his Abba, making himself equal with Yahuwah. Now, once again, you have to understand, in their mind, oh, no, you can't be. This name is too great. His name is too sacred, and nobody knows his name but us. And who are you popping up on the scene that you are his son? What gives you the right to put yourself in that position? So once again, you have to understand, because they kept the name Yahuwah from many of the people. Are y'all following me? Yes. Very important for us to understand when we read in this why they were so adamant about destroying him. Because you have to understand, in the name of Yahushua is Yahuwah. And it means Yahuwah is salvation. So their names are together. And so when they would say Yahushua, they're saying Yahuwah saves. And so they didn't want him using either name, but then Yahushua comes and says he's my Abba. That about, threw them for a loop. Are you following me? Yes. Now you have to understand, Yahushua never broke the Sabbath, but according to some rabbinic traditions, people were not allowed to heal. Hence, while they thought he may have been have broken the Sabbath, but he did not. Once again, you have to understand, this came from the strictest of strict rabbis and sages. They felt that nothing was supposed to be done. And you have to understand, you cannot box Yahuwah in. He came to do great for our people. And one of those things is to bring us healing and deliverance. Yes. Are y'all following me? Yes. Very important for us to understand that. Now, once again, they were angry with him because of what he had said. Just like today. Verse 19, then answered Yahushua and said to them, Verily, verily, I say to you, the Son can do nothing of himself, but what he sees the Abba do. For what things he does, these also does the Son likewise. Once again, you have to understand, when he made himself that close and that equal, you have to understand their teachings taught them, excuse me, that the name of Yahuwah was too to sacred, and here this young man comes up saying that he's the son. Now you have to understand, Yahushua never went through their schools, contrary to belief. He never even got involved with their stuff. So here this young man comes up and he's talking in this manner that causes and ruffles feathers, because in their mind they're thinking, who is this bastard coming and talking this when we don't even really know who he is? Are y'all following me?
Yes.
Very important for us to understand. Verse 20, for the Abba ahabs the son and show him all things that he does, and he will show him greater works than these, that you may marvel. For as the Abba raises up the dead and quickens them, even so the son quickens whom he will. Now you have to understand, when he said whom he will, even so the son quickens whom he will. Now you have to understand, when he said whom he will, of Yahuwah, that him all things that he does, and he will show him greater works than these, that you may marvel. So he's saying what he did or what he does, so am I doing. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
So once again, that is not contrary. Neither is it a to judge. Now listen what else he says. That all men should esteem the Son even as they esteem the Abba. That he esteems not the Son, esteems not the Abba which has sent him. This is where, once again, those that don't believe in Yahushua and continue to talk negative and bad about him, you better watch your mouth, because when you speak ill and bad of Yahushua, you speak ill and bad of Yahuwah.
That's right.
Because they are one. Are you following me?
Yes.
If you don't esteem Yahushua, you won't esteem Yahuwah. If you don't esteem the Son, you will not esteem the Abba. It's important that we understand that. And a lot of time, this is where the friction comes in, because the only thing a lot of people can see is what Christianity has put before them.
That's right.
We didn't say Jesus, we say he said the Son. Are you following me?
Yes.
And the Son's name is in the Abba, and the Abba's name is in the Son's name.
Right.
Nowhere can you pull out of Jesus, Yahuwah. Nowhere. But you can pull out a whole lot of other things.
Yes.
Verily, verily, I say to you, he that hears my word and believes on him that sent me has everlasting life, and shall not come into condemnation, but is passed from death to life. Once again, this is important. Verse 24, all of it is very important to us. Not one word or not one verse is not important. But this right here is important to our foundation. Verily, verily. That means that it is being expressed. And this is one of those warnings. Also, it is being adamantly expressed, so that we would listen and that we would take heed. Verily, verily, I say to you, he that hears my words, the Torah, which he is the Torah, and believes on him that sent me, we believe in Yahuwah, has everlasting life, and shall not come into condemnation, but is passed from death to life.
Right.
In other words, as I said in the beginning, we no longer have a death sentence over our life. We are not on death row. We've been taken off of death row. Why? Because we believe in Yahuwah, and we believe in the Son, his Son, that he sent. Are you following me?
Yes.
To instruct us and guide us and lead us. And then he sent the Ruach HaKodesh to be our teacher, the one that guides us from the inside. Are you following me?
Yes.
Very important that we understand that. He's given us a call for obedience to the Shema, which says, hear, O Yisrael, Yahuwah, our supreme one. Yahuwah is a God. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
Verse 26 says, no, once again, verse 25, he comes again. Verily, verily, I say to you, the hour is coming, and now is, when the dead shall hear the voice of the Son of Yahuwah, and they that hear shall live. We were once dead, but now we are alive. Are you following me?
Yes.
You can't hear life and remain dead unless you just don't want to hear.
Right.
The prophecy was fulfilled partially when the dead rose at the execution stake of Yahushua, He was talking about Ezekiel 37, when he will literally raise up the sons of the house of Yisrael, and they will be given full chance to walk in obedience. Once again, it's important that we look at look at the prophecy. Are you hearing me? Also, that means us, because we were dead. We were dead in trespasses and we were dead in sin. But now we live. Why? Because we heard what? The Besora. We heard the truth. We heard what? The great news. And now we live, and we're no longer dead. For as the Abba has life in himself, so has he given to the Son to have life in himself, and has given him authority to execute judgment also, because he is the Son of Man. And it is so.
And it is so.
And it is so. All right, let's read 28, 29. Let's read 7 verses, please.
Marvel not at this, for the hour is coming, in which all that are in the grave shall hear his voice, and shall come forth. They that have done great unto the resurrection of life, and they that have done evil unto the resurrection of damnation. I can of myself do nothing, as I hear I judge. My judgment is just, because I seek not my own will, but the will of the Father, which has sent me. If I bear witness of myself, my witness is not true. There is another that receives witness of me, and I know that the witness which he witnesseth of me is true. He sent unto you Yehudim, and he bare witness unto the truth. But I receive not testimony from man, but from these things. I say, that you might be saved.
And it is so. Now let's look at this once again. Verse 30, I can of myself, of my own self, do nothing. As I hear, I judge, and my judgment is just, because I seek not my own will, but the will of the Abba, which has sent me. And this is the prime example that we're supposed to follow in our judgment. Remember, he allows uprightness and righteous ruling and righteous judgment. Yahusha says what? I can of myself do nothing. As I hear, I judge. Unless we hear the full conclusion or hear the full matter, we cannot come to a conclusion. I judge, and my judgment is just, because I seek not my own will, but the will of the Abba, which has sent me. When we seek the will of the Abba and we listen attentively, our judgment will be righteous and fair.
Sure.
The only reason why it becomes unfair is because we don't listen. We don't listen, and we don't seek to obey Yahuwah. If I bear witness of myself, my witness is not true. This is important for us as a people too. Because if we have to toot our own horn, something is wrong. And you can never bear witness of yourself. There has to be one that comes and bear witness for you. Have you ever noticed in a court, whenever there is something going on, they always tell the people, before we put you on the stand, let that be the last thing we have to do. Because you ain't going to rat out yourself. That's why they're always looking for what? Credible witnesses.
Yes.
Either to witness for you, be a witness for you, or against you. Because a lot of times, our witness for ourselves, we're going to be biased. We're going to be biased, and we're going to make excuses. Now, once again, you have to understand, he says, look, I'm not going to witness. My witness is not true if I bear witness of myself. There is another that bears witness of me, and I know that the witness which he witnesses of me is true. Are you following me? Yes. You sent to Yehukanan, and there's always someone witness in truth.
Yes.
Are y'all following me?
Yes.
It's important. Because if there is nobody to bear witness of the truth in your life, then what happens? Are you following me?
Yes.
No one, a fruit of itself can't say, oh, I'm sweet, I'm sweet, I'm sweet. The only one can bear witness of that is the one that has tasted of it, that has handled it. That's the one. Important for us to understand that. Are you following me?
Yes.
Very important. Verse 34. But I received no testimony from man, but these things I say that you might be saved. Are you listening?
Yes.
Once again, you can't never ever think he contradicts himself. He always says these things to bring us to a great understanding. We have to understand he is the witness for us, but there are other witnesses. But I received no testimony from man, but these things I say that you might be saved. He was a burning and a shining light, and you were willing for a season to rejoice in his light. But I have greater witness than that of Yehukanan. For the works which the Abba has given me to finish, the same work that I do bear witness of me, that the Abba has sent me. Are you following me?
Yes.
Very important for us to understand. And the Abba himself, which has sent me, has borne witness of me. You have neither heard his voice at any time nor seen his shape. This is important that we understand because so many people believe they have seen Yahuwah. Not even Moshe, who was close to him and a friend. He said, I'll put you in a cleft and I'll let you see my backside. Boy, that's still just, whew, just phenomenal. He said, I can't let you see me, but I can put you in the rock. I can put you in Yahusha for that moment and walk by you and let you see me. Y'all, you know, that'll scare you to death. Are you following me?
Yeah.
But he had a relationship with him. If you read, you see how they communicated with one another. He talked to him like that because they had a relationship. You can't talk to somebody like that you don't know. Are you following me? And especially when you think you know him and you talking to him any kind of way. See, because when you know a person, you know there are certain boundaries that you have to remain, you have to stay in. When you know a person and you respect and love that person, there are boundaries there. Are you following me?
Yes.
And sometimes if you're not careful, you will overstep those bounds and you'll say things and do this because you believe, because I know this person. Are you following me?
Yes.
Important for us to understand. He knew him and he knew of him. And he was able to communicate with him. But once again, no one has seen his shape and no one has heard his voice. Very important. This is a true report. The Abba has never been seen or heard. The son Yahusha is the only one who has ever fellowshiped with the Abba in person. Are y'all following me? Once again, it's important for us to understand. Why? Because they have not. This is why it's important that our fellowship with Yahusha remains tight. Because it is through him that we're able to fellowship with Yahuwah. And if you disable your long distance connection, you can't make what? No long distance calls. It's amazing when we go home and we're on the property because the internet is horrible out there. If you don't have any internet, you can't do anything. But with internet, you can be all over the place. Are you following me? Main place you want to be is what? On the web. You want to be on the internet. Without access, you can't. Main place we want to be is in the presence of Yahuwah through Yahusha.
Yes.
Right.
And without him, we don't have access.
Right.
Contrary to popular belief, you do not have access to the Yahweh without Yahusha.
That's right.
Just like you don't have access to long distance without a long distance carrier. All right. Verse 38, and then we're going to revert it, verse 39. And you do not have his word abiding in you, for whom he has sent, him you believe not. This is why you have to understand, just because a person can quote scriptures off the top of their head and can run it like you know how they used to put those codes in computers and you still can, and you hit run and you see all that stuff come up, and you're like, dang, they know them scriptures, or they can run with them scriptures. That don't mean anything. Because verse 38 says, and you do not have his word, the Torah, abiding in you, for whom he has sent, him you believe not. So it has nothing about or people being able to flex and people being able to run with the Torah like that. Now, I'm not saying we're not supposed to know it. Please don't get me wrong. But what I am saying, don't ever judge a book by its cover. Open it up and read some of the pages, and then you decide and determine whether or not that person is truly a believer and a follower of Yahuwah.
Yes.
Because if we don't believe in Yahusha, then we really don't believe in Yahuwah.
Okay.
You have to understand, we'd be more willing to believe in animals than we would believe in Yahusha. Once again, you have to understand, listening and following, it's important that we understand that. And it is so. All right, let's read verse 39.
Verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life. And they are they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive no esteem from men, but I know you, that you have not the Ahava of Yahuwah in you. I have come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive esteem one of another, and seek not the esteem that comes from power only? Do not think I will accuse you. To the Abba, there is one that accuses you, even Moshiach in whom you trust. And it is so.
And it is so. Now, once again, let's look at this. Verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me. So how are we going to read and say we have eternal life and make him void of the place he is in and has always been in? Can't do it. The term his word is the idiomatic expression for the Torah. He is the Torah. In other words, the Torah ain't in you, because if the Torah was in you, then you would be able to connect with Yahushua because he is the Torah.
Yes.
Are you following me?
Yes.
You have to understand, once again, it is so vital and important that we understand this, because so many people search the writings, and yet in searching and trying to find, they find themselves still getting farther and farther away from Yahushua.
Yes.
Because they don't see him. They don't see him. That's like going into somebody's house and you looking and I don't see how they live. I don't see him here. How you not gonna see him here? Are you following me?
Yes.
The reason why we don't see is because we're only looking for what we want to see. When you're looking for a reason or looking for a way to evict somebody or keep from seeing their presence, you won't see their presence. Because everything you're searching is to go, is to oppose and go against finding that person. And that's what people do. And you will not come to me that you might have life. Self-explanatory. I receive no esteem from men, but I know you, that you have not the ahab of power in you. Once again, it's important, very important, that we listen to what is being said. But I know you, that you have not the ahab of Yahuwah in you. Why? Because they refuse to accept Yahushua. Very important. I have come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. Now this is so true. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. Jesus, are you following me?
Yes.
Very important that we understand. Chapter 5 of Yehukin in verse 43. I have come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. Have y'all heard? You know, they receive Jesus, but they will not receive Yahushua. Now you have to understand, he came in his own name. Yahushua did not come in his own name. He came in the name of the Abba, which gave him his name, which is Yahushua. Are you following me?
Yes.
Now listen at this. This prophecy became true when Shimon bar Kosiva was received as Mashiach and rubber stamped by Rabbi Akiva in 132 CE and held as the Mashiach and given the title Bar Kova in regard to Bamidbar 24 and 17, son of a star. This proved to be a mistake, of course, but many people lost their lives in the Ibram revolt when the Roman armies crushed the revolt. This revolt started when Hadrian, who was a homosexual, had banned Torah circumcision. Historia Augusta, Hadrian 14:2, he started to put the statutes of his male lover Antiochus, who died by drowning in the river Nile, and Hadrian started to put his statue up to worship and defy him as an act of idolatry. He also built a temple to Jupiter in place of the Ibram temple, which caused a fury with the Ibram people. Bar Kokhba had his own coins, and he did not, as far as we know, claim or hail to be the Mashiach himself, but some rabbis around him did hail him as the Mashiach. Again, it would be wrong to say he was hailed as the Mashiach, but could just be seen as a deliverer at time of the persecution. Now, once again, you see all this crazy stuff going on. Y'all follow me?
Yes.
People that come in their own name, they'll receive them. But Yahusha, they won't. This is important for us to understand. That's a problem. And this is why I constantly, when I have chance, correct people. Do not put Yahusha / Jesus, because that is not who he is. That is not. Do not put Yahuwah / God. Don't do that. Because you're going to either be one or the other.
Yes.
Follow one or the other. You cannot have it both ways. God is a title. It is not a name. And when you say God, who are you making reference to? There are so many. Poseidon, Zeus. Are you following? Follow me. And so many more. It's important that you understand. You cannot mix. Because now, who are you talking about? Or Yahusha Christ? No. That's Greek. That's not Ibram. Yahusha Mashiach. Once again, it's important that we understand. Do not try to win. Listen to what I'm saying. The audience by using names and terms they are accustomed to. You will never bring people out into truth, constantly coming to their level and allowing them to continually accept the name. Because the name diametrically opposes the attributes. Because once again, when you say God, who are you speaking of? Are you hearing me?
Yes.
You could be talking about Loki. You could be talking about Thor. They were gods. Are you following me?
Yes.
You don't know who you're talking about. Just like you go in a room with a bunch of Ibram men and you say, hey, black man. Only people going to answer you are the black men. And that could be anybody in there. Are you following me?
Yes.
When you say God, you don't know who you are evoking. In your mind, you may be thinking you are talking to Yahuwah, but in reality and actuality, you are not. Because you yourself don't know who you are evoking a response from. Because you only put a title out there. Yahuwah has a name.
Yes.
Are you understanding me?
Yes.
And even y'all, it's crazy thinking. What's that thing? Even baloney has a name. Y'all, you don't just say baloney. But even baloney that is in a different category as other baloney has what? A name. Are you following me? Y'all remember the little song where they sung the baloney song? Yahuwah has a name. Because you have to understand, he comes second to none. And he is in a category all by himself.
Yes.
Yes, Yahusha is his son. And we dare not take away his esteem. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
But everywhere in the writings you see that Yahusha is always upholding Yahuwah.
That's right.
Once again, remember he said, I am not and I will not be a witness of myself. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
So he is the witness to who? Yahuwah. It's important that we understand that. Once again, if we don't believe in Yahusha, we don't really believe in Yahuwah. It's important that we understand. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive no esteem from men, but I know you that you have not the Ahab of Yahuwah in you. I have come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. And we see that all the time.
Yes.
How can you believe which receives esteem one of another, and seek not the esteem that comes from power only? Once again, how can you believe which receives esteem one of another, and seek not the esteem that comes from Yahuwah only? Yahuwah is only going to esteem that which is his,
That's right.
Yes.
not anything else. Are you following me?
Yes.
Yesterday I was sitting in the office and I was thinking about the movement, the Jesus only movement. The Jesus only movement. Now you have to understand something. In Christianity, there are a whole lot of movements. But have you seen how even in that they just stricken, once again, look at how they stricken God out the picture, and they said it's Jesus only. Now you have to understand the craziness about this, in which we don't believe that. But if you strict the person he's supposed to come from, then what do you think happens? If you cut down the tree where the fruit has come from, where will it get its source? Or you kill the source, where will it get its strength? Where will it get the vision and its purpose? It negates it. Are you following me?
Yes.
This is what they were doing with Yahusha. They did not want him to proclaim and exclaim the name of Yahuwah. They wanted him to remain quiet. And he would not. Just like we will not.
Yes.
Are you following me?
Yes.
We will not. Because we understand. Are you following me?
Yes.
That it is through Yahusha that our relationship is made solid and made healthy and whole. And without him, we can have no relationship. Are you following me? And
Yes.
nowhere does Yahusha ever tell us to worship him. He always directs our worship to the Abba. To the Abba. Once again, how can you believe which receives esteem one of another, and seek not the esteem that comes from Yahuwah only? Do not think that I accuse you. That's what he says. To the Abba, there is one that accuses you, even Moshiach, in whom you trust. Now you have to understand why. Let's look at that. Because of their actions. The 5 books of Torah will convict people of their sin and their disobedience on the day of reckoning. They believe in Moshiach so that they forget he spoke of truth in the Torah. And you have to understand, Yahusha is in the Torah. So everything that they are believing wholeheartedly on is going to come right back and be their judge. Are you following me?
Yes.
Because even Moshiach said that he's going to raise up a prophet just as I am. Are you following me?
Yes.
Even Moshiach declared and testified of that. It's important that we understand. Are you following me?
Yes.
So that prophet is Yahusha. He is our Mashiach. And he is also our prophet. Are you following me?
Yes.
He's that and the son of Yahuwah.
Yes.
Very important for us to understand that. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
Never let anybody strip that from you. Never let anybody strip that away from us. Never, ever, ever. Are you following me?
Yes.
Now, once again, he said, do not think that I will accuse you to the Abba. There is one that accuses you, even Moshiach, in whom you trust. Torah gonna get you. All right, 46 and 47. And then we're going to look at chapter 6, verse 71. We're still in chapter 5. We just have 2 verses, and then chapter 6, verse 71.
Verse 46 and 47. For had you believed Moshiach, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how shall you believe my words? Chapter 6, verse
71.
Verse 71 that reads, he spoke of Yehuda from Kirioth, the son of Shimon, for he it was that should betray him, being one of 12.
And it is so. Now listen what he says in verse 46. For had you believed Moshe, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me, and he even spoke of him. Are y'all hearing me?
Yes.
But if you believe not his writings, how shall you believe my works? Boy, that's two to the body and one to the head. Moshe wrote in many places about the Mashiach. The Mashiach was mentioned in Bereshit 1:1. Get that for me, Bereshit 1:1. Also 3:15, Bamidbar 21:9. Also 24:17, and Debitum 18:18. And this is just to name a few places. Once again, that is Bereshit 1:1. Which is Genesis 1:1. Also get 3:15. Get Bamidbar, which is Numbers 21:9, and also 24:17, and Debitum 18:18. But we'll start with Bereshit 1:1. You got it?
Yes, Bereshit 1:1.
All right, and then we'll look at 3:15, and then 21:9 of the Midbar, and 24:17. All right, come on, read it for me. Okay, let's take it in order.
Bereshit 1:1.
Mm-hmm.
In the beginning, Power created the Shemayim and the land.
Okay, say it again.
In the beginning, Power created the Shemayim and the land.
Mm-hmm. He created. Now you have to understand, he created. And in his creating, guess who was right there? Yahusha. All right, let's go to 3:15. All right, read loud for me. Bereshit 3:15, also Genesis 3:15. This is a place that spoke of the Mashiach.
It reads, and I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your Zerah and her Zerah. It shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise her heel.
And it is so. We're talking about the Mashiach. All right, let us look at the Midbar 21:9. You got 24:17. All right, let's do that. Anybody has 21:9?
And it is so.
All right, read 21:9, and then you come with 24:17.
And it is so. Bamidbar 21, verse 9. Coming from the NIV. So Moshe made a bronze snake and put it on a pole. Then when anyone was bitten by a snake and looked at the bronze snake, he lived.
Mm-hmm.
And it is so.
And if I be lifted up from the earth, I will draw all men unto me. Very important that we understand, because everybody that looked upon that was what? Healed. All right, come on. 24:17.
17.
Mm-hmm.
I shall see him, but not now. I shall behold him, but not nigh. There shall come a star out of Yaakov, and a scepter shall rise out of Yisrael, and shall smite the corners of Moab, and destroy all the children of Sheth.
And it is so. Verse 18 of Debitum 18:18. I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren, like unto you, and will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him. Once again, this is important that we understand. Moshe spoke of it. It's just where we're listening. We know our ancestors and forefathers were not. Some of them were, but some of them were not. Once again, Yahusha, and it can be also seen in Yehukin 7:40. He must come in the name of Yahuwah, and Yahusha did. Jesus came in the name or in the title of what? God. He didn't come in a name. He came in or came through a what? Title. Are y'all following me? Yes. Yahusha came through the name of Yahuwah. It's important that we understand that. Are you following me?
Yes.
All right. Now, Let us look at this. Help us, Abiyah. Help us, help us, help us. For he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how shall you believe my words? Once again, if we don't believe in the Torah, and I'm talking about believe it and read it and have the Ruach Kodesh to enlighten us and to guide us, we won't understand it. Many in Christendom refuse to believe Moshiach and obey the books that he wrote and continue to live in rebellion, claiming to live on 2 royal commandments, while the 2 royal commandments are only a summary of the whole, committing the people to live by the whole Torah. Once again, if we don't read and we don't have an understanding, first and foremost, if we don't have the heart of Yahuwah through Yahusha, then we will not understand that. We will only take what we want and what is only easy for us to follow, then we'll do it. We won't go really over that to try to dig in a little deeper. Not all of us, just some of us. Because you got some of us, we're going to dig and dig and dig until we hit bottom. You know, when you play Minecraft and you dig, there's a place you get, what's that called? Sediment?
Bedrock.
Bedrock. When you get to bedrock, you can't dig no more. There's nothing else to dig because you done dug to the bottom.
That's right.
And you can't dig no more. Are you following me?
Yes.
We dig and we look because we continue to search in the writings. Are you following me? Very important. All right, chapter 6, verse 71. And this is our last verse for today in this class. Very important, like I said, for us to understand. He spoke of Yehuda from Horath, or Yehuda Iscariot, the son of Shimon, for he it was that should betray him, being one of the 12. Now, once again, he was one of the 12, and he was Yehuda. He was from his own tribe, and he betrayed him. So once again, you have to understand, people, it's imperative that we walk in this. Because even that person that was close to him and that was a part of the tribe betrayed him. Betrayed him for 30 pieces of silver. We don't want to betray him. And if you don't get greed out your heart and you don't walk in truth and comply with what he's given us and walk in it, then what happens? We will fall into that same situation. Remember when in the writings in Amos, when those that said we will not encounter evil, we're not worried about it, and they encountered evil because they said we will not die by the sword. You have to understand, once again, warning comes before what? Destruction. So we are being warned how to live our lives and comply to his instructions. As we have come to the close of our class on today, I pray that there was something that you saw in the Torah, the Haftorah, and the Brit Hadashah that has provoked you to push harder and to stand longer and to strive stronger, to be all that he's calling us to be in these last and final hours. We are his children, the children of power, and we are a set-apart people. We are a strange breed or a strange people to a many. But never should it be that we should ever lose our set-apartness, especially when we are coming into it. Very important that we hold on to it, regardless of what may come our way. I want to say to you on today, keep your head up, keep your shoulders squared, and keep your heart and your feet in and upon the Torah, because we can't go wrong when we live by it and we practice it every day of our lives. I want to say to you, stay encouraged. Remember that Yahuwah is on the side of the upright, and we do have a great example, and that is Yahushua HaMashiach to live by. I want to say once again, may Yahuwah Baruch you in this your time of rest, and that this will be a day of celebration and a day of commemoration without sorrow, without pain, without regrets, and without tears, unless they are tears of joy. I want you to remember that I am Senior Prophetess Sabrina Brown, and I am the leader of Messengers of Yahuwah's Kingdom of Brave Belief Ministries located in South Carolina. I want you to remember here at Messengers of Yahuwah's Kingdom of Brave Belief Ministries, this is the place where the Torah does the body excellent. Until next time, may Abba Yahuwah Baruch Atah and keep you in his shalom until we meet again. Also, I want you to remember that you've been touched by Champion TV, a place where the champions reside, and it is so.
And it is so.
And it is so.